Hello everybody, welcome to my demonstration painting sessions. And today I have an unusual view. I have a photograph taken at the beautiful, very arty restaurant and bar in Leeds, where I was with my friend. And here is me a little bit in the corner, and I love the atmosphere of the place. So I thought that would be really exciting, something very different, figurative little painting to create. Now I have a reasonably large board today. It's just enough A2 size, maybe just a tiny bit shorter here. And I might not finish it today. There are loads and loads of details, but I wanted to give you an idea of how to get started when you have quite a lot of details, loads of elements, exciting light, tiled floor, loads of pictures and rails and lights and figures and everything else. How do we simplify? Okay, how do we get going about it? And I'm using the darker violet and ochre background today because there are loads of shadows, and they should help me out to build up the structure of my composition as well. Right, so I'm going to start with my sketchy lines, and from time to time I will return my image, but because it's quite large and I don't want to get my proportions wrong, so unfortunately I'm going to have to move it away from me, sorry, from the screen for you, but I will be bringing it back, so now I can see it a bit more straight in front of me. Right, so I'm going to start with a bit of white and ochre and a dab of violet. Okay. So my classic starting colors here. And I might actually add a tiny bit of crimson here, a little bit of extra red. We've got some lovely warm light here. So let's get going. Right, so what I have roughly halfway through, maybe a tiny bit higher, I've got where the roughly place where my floor is going to be stopping. I'm going to look for some darker and lighter shapes. So I might also use a large brush to help me out to see shapes. So let's get some of those, same color again here. Okay, just splashed on my board, but that's okay. So let's just get it more paint mixed. And I can dilute it gently just to see some of the lights. Easier to sketch, sometimes with line, sometimes with a bit more of a shape. So I have a lovely surface of a table, a nice round table, but it's all staying in the shadow here. There's a chair. Okay, so I might just start planning it straight away. I have my sponge, which I can use almost as an eraser to move shapes while it's still a bit wet. Maybe I'll move my chair a little bit lower. I've got a key table. I've got a lovely central table. So far, I'm just playing with kind of proportion of where that space is going to be, how far it's going to be. I've got another bar on the side that takes quite a bit of space. I'll have a lovely silhouette and probably some bottles on the top. Okay, so that might be an interesting element there. Okay, maybe this line could be a little bit straighter. Okay, and let's find some blocks of light. There's a section of the ceiling which gives us some light. Again, if I'll think of it as a block of okay, tiny bit too much red, but that's okay. I'll just mix it. Okay, so something there. And I can work with it if it's too big, if it's too small, if it needs to be moved. Got some beautiful staircase. Okay, I can change the angle of it or check the angle of it later. I think we're about right there. How the stairs going, how this changing the rails. Okay. I've got some light on the steps. So I'm looking for those little blocks of spaces. Okay, now I can define my table a little bit more. Okay, there is another chair. Okay, so maybe this table will be tiny bit shorter, tiny bit moved somewhere here. Okay. Now there are loads of lovely shapes. So as much as I would like to try to fit them in same as they are on the photograph, I also do realize that if I attach myself too much to the perfect shapes where one shape meets another, I might be here for a very, very long time. So I'm going to look for the structure of things, analyze it, and make it believable of where we are. Okay, so that's might be my table. Okay, and it doesn't even stand. Okay, it's reflecting quite a lot, but when it's dry, it will come up. Okay, all right. I have a figure of the waiter walking here. I'll use a large brush. Okay, I've got part of the bar here. Okay, something light underneath here. Rows of glasses hanging, loads of lovely reflecting spaces. So that's how I know where the weight is going to be. He will have to be somewhere a bit here. So I'm looking for his lighter shape of the face, possibly a collar, a shirt. Okay, that gives me an idea of rough spacing. Okay, so maybe this chair and table might need to go a little bit lower. His white apron. Okay, so I'm looking for very, very simplified forms. Okay, yes, this table. Okay, already dried. Let's just paint over it a little. So I can shrink the size of that light shape. Okay. Just a bit runny here, that's okay. Right, so then my waiter comes in nice and confident. Okay, his one hand on the other one. Okay, and there are loads of rows of light. Shelves and reflections and lamps and details and mirrors. Very much like a French Monet's painting. Scene kind of they reconstructed the atmosphere of some of the French cafes, French restaurants. Yeah, that comes in quite nice and low. And actually the head of the waiter could be even higher. Okay. So as I'm moving things about, I do want have kind of a lower angle from somebody sitting down looking at the image. Okay, so my table might be lower here. Okay, and another chair. Okay, which will have loads of dark tones. At the same time gives me some idea of proportions quite earlier on. Now the chair is black. Well, it looks like in the shadow, quite dark. I'm just identifying some of the lighter spaces for the moment. Okay. Another light spaces. We've got the opening of the corridor behind the stairs. Okay, so that's going somewhere there. We've got some nice light, some lovely patterns on the floor. Okay. And let's have a look at some lights. Okay, big round lights, and we can see part of the ceiling here, which has a nice exciting perspective for us. Okay, so if that is the corner of my room, so that floor is going under small angle, and that will stay a bit more straight. And that will give me some windows here as well. Loads of signs on the windows at the back, lovely columns, all sorts of decorations and things in there. So let's just think of the big shapes first. Okay, this bottle will be quite exciting as well. So I'm now looking at a little bit of subtones. So some of my lighter washes drying, and the color of my background is transparent. So we see those first layers slightly darker. And I'm adding tiny bit more thicker paint just to see where some of the bolder light's going to be, maybe for some part of the windows. Doesn't have to be in the windows, but there might be. So I'm trying to squint my eyes when I'm making those judgments. So I'm just going with the rhythm of the light, forgetting where that light might belong to, or who it might belong to. So that will hopefully help me in a long term to find those shapes. Okay, within the right place, so that the rhythm of the light is in the right place. It doesn't mean that they all will stay in the same strengths, but they're just a little bit becoming slightly different now. Now I love the tiled floor here. Right, there's some light here as well reflecting. So let's just do that one slightly lighter altogether. Okay. So slightly light all of the shape together first. It's very quirky design of the restaurant, so nothing is quite perfect. Loads of mirrors, loads of panels, artwork reflecting in the mirrors. So all sorts of things changing. Okay. And let's put some light in there. And I haven't done the figure here of me walking, but I've got a rough space for it ready. Just want to do a little bit more planning on my perspectives of the floor. Now, very interesting design. So the tiles are not parallel with the building. It's actually, if I were to look, let me just show you the image again. So my tiles are going away, almost they're going towards the staircase, yeah, the base of it here. So if I would have had a perfect straight line, probably one of those lines is going to be more of a perfect straight line. The lines on the right from it's going to go that way, and the lines from the left of it's going to go that way, and then they're going to slowly change the angle till they reach that line in the back. Okay, so let's have a look. So I need to find my perfect, or as perfect as possible, line, which is almost a straight one, and that will give me, okay, so somewhere there. Now it doesn't make much difference, but if I'll make the line slightly thinner at the top, let's punch a bit more, okay, and tiny bit wider close to me, it's almost will give me the width of the tile, and will make it even more believable. Okay, and then I'm just gonna do roughly, might be a thinner brush will be easier. So I'll do a rough one. So between one line and another one, if I'll roughly divide the space into half, then I know the angle will be roughly halfway through. Yeah, and it's easier to divide these lines. Okay, that's not quite halfway through here. So just dry it so it's not so shiny for you. Okay, so if I roughly divide it into here, okay, that's a bit better. Okay, and immediately changing, just slightly changing the angles, and maybe even if I change it furthest diagonal. Okay, now I know it's need to be much more parallel to those two. Okay, so if I would have continued that line there, yeah. But I've got a cupboard here, so I don't need that line. So that gives me exciting shape there. Now my table, I said, not quite matching the table legs, not matching the direction of the tiles, which is fine, but it still belongs to the surface. Okay, maybe a tiny bit more further. I think that angle was better. A bit shorter here. Okay, just loads of shiny space here for the moment. Okay. And let's have a look again where the chair is going to be. So I'm just going to match it. I think the chair might need to go a little bit lower so that I can see waiter's wide step and his white apron. Okay, so maybe my chair is going to be a little bit further down. Oh, maybe my waiter is going to be further back. I think I might need to move my waiter, otherwise he's going to be too central. Right, let's move him back. I'm just using some darker tone. And I might sketch him darker. One option, I could sketch him, just paint over the darker, all the lighter shapes. Or I can just paint a darker version. I think maybe easier just to do all darker. I thought I might be too many confusing lines here. So almost like back to the background. I think my chair is in the right place. Okay, I'll give it a moment to dry. Okay. And also let's find some of them lines for the floor. They're quite quirky, coming together, not to get mixed up with the table leg. And they're slowly gonna be becoming much more flatter and close to the flat line of the wall. Okay. Let's take it all the way to the cabinet here. Good. So again, there's a rough impression of them. And there is a lovely pattern on the floor around the bar. Again, that's will give me an idea what's happening with the figures. Right, let's just get my chair tiny bit more darker, deliberately darker than what I'll need it. And my table here as well. But I want to identify some of the nice shadows, some nice silhouettes here. So I'm using a bit of violet and black as my, almost like a primer, my sketching colors. Okay, the width of the table. And it's hard to see what's exactly happening under the table. There's some reflections, looks like the possibly another chair standing, maybe facing us. There's some lovely patterns on something there, but let's focus on the chair next to that table. Okay, that's where the leg's going to be. Tiny bit lower where originally it should have been. Okay, and then the back of it. Okay, and again, got two legs. At the front, can't quite see the third leg for the back. Maybe they are in line there. Okay, and let's find some spaces, some negative spaces close to waiter. So, okay, there will be some light partially on the chair. Let's get some darks elsewhere. Okay, that's actually the middle of my table. That's better. It's all reflected. It will dry and you will see it's much darker. Just hold on. It is a bit of a strange angle to reflect. Okay, that will be my part of the bar close by. Okay, another darker chair. So I'm using a larger brush to find those silhouettes. I'm not quite looking into color yet. I'm just looking for shapes, trying to find my overall layout. Okay, let's do the figure. Stepping down as a very simplified shape. Okay, arms and legs will come in later. Some sort of darker dress. And all I will be focusing is where other darker space is going to be and where the highlights of possibly of arms and legs are going to be as well. Face is in the shadow, but the blonde hair are a bit light. So let's just do that. Feel for the space. Okay, something's happening there. There will be some shadows as well. So let's just keep it very, very simple. Okay. And any other dark spots here? There's a lovely palm tree and some other plants. So again, just looking for some patterns of darks to help me build up the depth. Sofa at the back, open door, some paintings, darker silhouettes of elements in the bar. Okay, I'm ready for the waiter. Hopefully now this area is drying. And let's try, maybe let's try working into the darks first. So let's find the proportion of his head is quite tall here, or looks extra tall because we're looking down. Sorry, we're looking from the lower angle, we're looking up at him. And his waistcoat. Okay. Part of the trousers we can see. We can do the curve of the back later. Really looking for the negative space. Okay, I've got one leg. That's better. So that leg is at the back. And the other leg we can't see, it's under the apron. Okay, let's have a look at some lighter tones. Swap a brush. And okay, tiny bit more thicker paint. And I'm going to look for straight away where his ears, a rough direction of his jaw, a rough direction of his neck. Okay, it's looking quite a big face here, so I can just help myself and trim it with a shadow. I can also use the lighter tone at the back to show the silhouette of his head. If it's too stretched out, maybe I'll use a darker tone under the chin. Okay, maybe it's going to be slightly wider. The whole shadow of the face. Maybe I'm going too much into details, but roughly it's going to be there. Tiny bit more light for the front. Okay, somewhere there, that's good. And a lighter color. And now I can see the curvature of the back. Could be more protruding. And now a bit more confident. Lighter tone for his arm. I'm looking again for the whole sleeve. What we can see from the waistcoat, the elbow, and where the arm bends. Okay. Good. A little bit of light behind. Again, that's shapes up the kind of the width. Okay, maybe shaping up the back a little bit more. It looks a little bit stretched at the moment. But I can work on that. Some lights here and there. Beautiful light, playful light, something I'm already spotting. The light at the back and at the front at the same time. One light is going to be warm, one light is going to be cool. So eventually I'll work into that. Okay. Let's get the angle of the sleeves. He's holding something in his hand, possibly a tray. Can't quite see the exactly what he's holding on the tray. Maybe just empty one. Maybe it's he's holding the menus. And let's find again the light behind him. And then the direction of the light for his apron will be more effective. So now that will be more effective to see part of the leg and the apron. That's better. That's good. Just gonna amend the chair here slightly. Okay, so I can see what's happening there. Maybe making the chair a tiny bit deeper. So once I'm happier with the shapes, with the positions of certain big elements, I can start adding a bit more color. Right, let me double check any darker shapes following any exciting rhythm. Possibly even some patterns on the floor. I will not be doing them all precisely, but what I will do, I will work into some shadows. So for example, here in this area, probably from the bar here, from the table surrounded, it almost looks like a little area hidden away from the direct light. When around the table, probably a tiny bit, and down the table might be a tiny bit darker, but all of that central area of the floor is going to be much lighter. Something close to the sofa at the back might be a tiny bit darker. So let's have some of these tiles and some of the area on the bottom right corner just altogether dark. Doesn't matter what's happening there, it's just a silhouette of it. And even a darker transparent wash will do the trick. And some dark shadows under the steps here. And I've done that one on the side, that's all good. Maybe even that bottle will have a bit more darker tone. And for the rest of the floor, I'm just going to make a little bit of extra light, a little bit of a medium wash here. I'm going to try now to follow my lines. So the direction of these lines will give me more light. So I'm not going to lose them. Waiter has a little bit of glance of the light table, except his legs continuing here. This leg is shrunk by the highlight on the table, so let's bring this leg back. Okay, he's walking now. Maybe even further apron coming from further back. That's when I can tweak it. Good. Okay, lovely. Now, under the table here, I can see that the cloth in places is darker than my floor. So I need to stay bold and brave and make some of that floor much lighter. Yes, there will be some darker segments. And then eventually my tablecloth will be slightly darker. I might play with it with different color. Might bring a little bit of coolness to it. Partially gray, partially warm at the moment. It is reflecting loads. Just give it a moment as I'm using some wet paint. Okay, let's see if I can lift it a little for you to see. That's better. Good. Much more confidence. A little light on the chin of our waiter. So something's happening there, and maybe part of his hands, maybe not as light. Something's there. Just getting the silhouettes of these sleeves a little easier, and then maybe in between tones for the hands. They are lit up, but they are darker. They're not as dark as the other. Okay, so that's might do a little bit of adjust this. So what's happening here? And let's start looking at some color. Right, as the initial sketch is drying out, I've worked out some basic tones, but now I'm ready to work into some color. And I want to introduce some warm color, and I want to introduce some cool colors. Now, I think the reds and the oranges might be my first choice, just to keep the whole atmosphere quite warm. So let's use a bit of crimson and ochre. Let's get some softer reds first. And I'm just going to track where some of that color might be. I've got some lovely sofas at the back, so they will start immediately jumping at me. So what's the main shapes will suddenly take away that tension now. The colors I'll be introducing. That was another table there, so that sofa could go a little bit higher. How that color is traveling. And then I'll start looking for possible similarities in color in different objects, as simple as, you know, body parts for the figure here. Got some lovely light. It also gives a bit more of a dynamics. There's some paintings behind the rails. I'll start with a similar-ish red, but I'll try to find different shapes of it, volumes, how much of it is going to be there. I will be changing it as well, but let's start with some of the simplified color. First, okay, some larger painting panels somewhere here. Looks from here some sort of abstract works. So might be some lights within the columns. Behind the bar. I think there's some lovely chairs which create some of the rhythm of darker lines. Let's just place them here. Some lighter tones, maybe a bit of yellow with extra white and crimson. Let's create some of the light here. So I'm looking for patterns. Sometimes I know what those patterns are. Sometimes I guess. Sometimes I don't need to know. Okay, let's go a tiny bit more into the ochre. There will be some lovely golden colors as I'll build things up. But so far, I'm starting from a little bit more deeper middle tones. Okay, so that's good to go all the way close to the figure. Actually, if it will be against the body of the figure, that will be even better. So there's some nice warmth in the skin of the waiter as well, but it's might need to be much darker. So to make it dark, I can add a dab of violet. So I'm painting and repainting, planning and developing all the time, comparing. Got that lovely warmth now. Tiny bit more lighter. Okay. Even the warmth of his white shirt. We know it's white. There's so much warmth of light here. We actually see it much more bolder in color, much more warmer, much more vibrant. Okay. And I could play with better highlights and more distinctive tones and bolder colors afterwards as well. Same as I can play with some fantastic light of the bar. I think that's where that fabulous excitement is going to come. Okay, let's get a little bit of a golden color as a little hint of some of the glasses hanging. Some of the reflections from them. Some of the reflections in the lovely surface. Some light next to the face. Let's put a little bit of light. That might give more of a silhouette of the face eventually. Maybe not straight away. Okay, there might be something else behind there. Getting a bit too low, but that's okay. There's my sponge. Just a tiny bit higher. Give some space, that's it. And these bulbs of light really glowing. Let's move to them. They could be glowing even more when we picked up the bolder tones, the bolder lights. And there's some gorgeous lights. Okay, that's one reflecting at the back somewhere. Behind the stairs, maybe these are the exact lights reflecting in the mirrors. Maybe there's some other wall lighting. Some light reflecting in the vase. There's some cool light next to the figure here. So let's just keep it a little bit more simplified. That's quite a night atmosphere now. So we want to have an evening, but maybe not quite a late night atmosphere. But that's how the work develops. You're starting from one point, and if you like something that works, you exaggerate, you keep that atmosphere going. That's where some of the extra drama is going to happen. Just gone over his trousers, it's okay. Some lovely reflective surfaces on the table. Okay, if I'll just charge up a little bit with some color and give an idea of possibilities of those reflections. Okay, let's see that markers too far. Okay, and I just want to have again, well, I've got that warmth of a color, a similar color picks up on the floor. That's where I can have a little bit of perspective building using some of my strokes. A little bit of perspective on some of the tiles. I might just have it playful. I don't want to paint them too precise, but I want to have some little structure present. Of a pattern. Some sort of little crosses, kind of simplified shapes. Okay, that's just disappears. And that lovely light is there as well. And that lovely light was on that curve. I want to miss that curve. Excellent. Right now, the light on the table. Let's amplify that one a bit more. Now we know where the sofas are. And possibly just charge it up with a little bit of redness. Some of the, maybe a tiny bit more darker. Because we want to keep the tablecloth horizontal, vertical, how it hangs, vertical angles of it. We want to keep it dark, but we also want to have a little bit of light. Okay, those lines going to be much more straighter. Those folds. Okay, and some of them might be a little bit smaller. I think they might come out slightly wider than I wanted. So if I use my sponge, I can shrink some of them, blend them with my existing gray. Okay, again, it's a little bit wet and it reflects. For you, let's just get them slightly better shaped. That's better. Something to explore and play and find them right into those folds. Okay, a little bit of extra warmth, yellow, orangey light on the ceiling here. Let's bring that get some light. I think that's just a wall light. Get some reflections somewhere. So that's how I'm building up that busyness of the interior by just picking up highlights. Inside or outside windows. This might be this light spreading out. And that's how much bolder some of these shapes might be. Something a bit more red on the floor, again, some reflections. Part of the carpet step is quite reddish, warm. That's a similar reflection as somewhere here. Part of the floor. Edge of the bar. Lots of light behind the bottle here. Good, I've got this table and another table somewhere here. And maybe the tones in between. Okay, which I haven't quite shown properly yet. It's okay. Okay, some light on the stairs, the back of the stairs, part of that ceiling. Okay, tiny bit of light at the back, something reflecting on the painting, a little bit warmer. Might be some of the doors and shapes, so then it brings me closer to paint my cooler tones. A bit of atmosphere of the chair. Another patterns what could be seen. I think it's a lovely design of patterns on the chair, the chairs. Again, it's once it dries, it will be very exciting to see. The darker tone to separate that as well. Another stool by the bar and its back. Again, it might be too much details at the moment. Let's just keep it there. And then I can put a few more bolder strokes of light for the bar. As some of the starting points. So look where that shining edge is going to be. Okay. And again, well, I've got that golden color. I think I might put it on my table here as well. Part of that table will have some coolness. As I keep saying it, just want to balance some of that beautiful light. Okay, with some of the reflections here, good. Maybe something a little bit bold and light, close to the waiter's face, so that focal point doesn't get lost. And I can build up and build up some beautiful highlights as I kind of divide the tones and add further contrasts. Right, let's stop at the warmth. Let's have a look at a little bit more cool shapes. And let me take a photograph of this stage. Right, now let's work into a little bit of cool colors. So I'm going to use some white. And I'm going to start with some of the turquoisey colors. So I need my emerald green and phthalo blue together. I can see some of the lovely lights in the windows. That will show that it's still light outside. And at the moment, the painting looks like it's a night time. So let's try introducing some of that light here. Okay. Really trying to make it nice and playful. I think that block there, okay. Some vertical build-up of lines. Possibly behind. And even further somewhere here. It might be reflecting the light from the windows. Maybe that light traveling further back. It's where the rails might have some of that coolness. So I'm simplifying it first. Yes, I'm going for a similar color, if not the same. I'm slowly starting to identify the coolness of the colors. There are loads of beautiful reflection of the turquoisey color on the floor. It combines with that light reflection. That's why I've got that beautiful red. And then the pattern of them floor, the light start picking up that blueness, that greenness, that much more calmer. And even possibly a very diluted wash over this area. So if I dilute the paint, it will dry, will show some of the layers below. So I still see some of my perspective, show a bit of a glow. And let's move over further on the left, tiny bit more darker turquoise. And that's going to come a bit more into the reflections here, because some of that area is turned towards the window. And there will be something even more darker blue, darker turquoise. I think that's somewhere that shadow behind the waiter is going to come in a little bit more cooler. Might be we're seeing some reflective parts of the furniture in the mirror. We have the back kind of corridor or entrance, or just kitchen, go walk to the kitchens, goes a bit more ultramarine. So if I'll go a little bit more darker with my ultramarine, and that should give me more light, and see the, again, waiter's figure and decision of where other objects going to be. Okay, bit of light there. Okay, slightly darker now. Might go with a bit more violet. And a beautiful exaggerated coolness is going to come to this area. Violet and blue, violet and ultramarine. Part of that coolness of them. Space. Quite like that warm paint in here though, so I'll keep it there. Maybe some more shadows will come in here. Okay. If I'll go for even further darker blue, That could have some of the lights on the waiter, have some of his black uniform. We'll start having some lights, even the hair will start picking up some coolness. Okay, maybe a bit more design, shapes, definition for parts of the table, the legs for the chair, partially there. Let's bring a bit more light for the highlights of the legs there. Okay, so that's quite bold, strong blue. Let's make it working with my warm colors. So for example, in this wall and some of the areas here, there's some sort of a little bit more muted blue, so kind of bluey yellow, bluey something. So that's kind of blue gray. So if I'll go with a dab of ochre, sorry, my palette is moving, a bit of ochre and ultramarine. Some white is there as well, so let's check that color out. That's better. So we have a bit of extra light. Some of these frames immediately could go lighter. Some paneling. Okay, maybe a bit of light around the paneling. Let's put some light on one of the frames. Okay, that's so I can see maybe my stairs. John could go and move a little here as well. Maybe slight angles, amendments. Okay, let's work a bit more. Again, maybe some will be hints of light on this table. That's hints of that glowing coolness. Part of the cupboard. Again, it's because it's reflecting, because where it is in the camera, it looks very light, so it will come back to its darkness shortly. So I'm just looking for those little hints of color, varying slightly the darkness of things. Okay, maybe a tiny bit more. I think I reversed this one a bit too much. I looked into the color and I haven't done it justice. Okay, so that will stay slightly darker. That will work better, and the other segment will stay lighter, even lighter than it was before. Might just do it all together. That little line is breaking it a little. So now my waiter hasn't got much in his hands now. So let's give him some purpose of what he's carrying. My gray blue panel continues. And subtones will start to come out. So some of that, if I'll get a bit more water, the paint flows a little better. Just want to see it as a whole and maybe again subdivide afterwards. Right, my frames on that little corner might need to have a bit of light on them so they're not getting lost. There's some beautiful butterflies there. I want them to stand out. I want them to be part of this interior design. I want to build that rhythm of light here as well, so it's not just cool. Tones, we want that light. Okay, let's pay attention to maybe this table and the vase. Got some lights behind it. I think my vase is, in comparison to the photograph, is slightly different position, but I'm not too worried about it. It's good, good. Let's have some shadows for the floor as well. Again, some cooler tones, some violet and emerald blues. Sorry, violet and ultramarine blues. Dab of black to make a bit more indigos. Tiny bit more darker. Can actually see part of the leg of my waiter, his foot, which might need to be somewhere lower, as I put him a little bit more closer to me. So it might be somewhere here. I'll keep it a little bit vague for now. Just want it to remain as more of a shadow. More of a, I'll come back to it once I've decided on the kind of pattern of the light. And then I can sharpen up some of the lights next to him. Okay, so something is there. The movement is happening. The light is here. Good. And I'm coming back to some of the warmth. Now that would be quite good to have a combination. So where my blues dried, I could start introducing some warms, and I can work with both warm and cool colors in one go. So again, a little bit of greeny gray for some of the background. So that will give me some railings. If they're too precise, they will have to have a little bit of extra light, a little bit of extra glistening, a little bit of extra spacing, so they will be a bit more lost. So they can't be too similar in appearance. That's better immediately. The other really where I'm holding on to, that's there. Just making sure I haven't forgotten it. I've got this beautiful blue chair as well. Let's make some space for that. It's painted as a block here, as a block color. Okay, maybe too light. For the highlight of the chair, that would be a good color, but maybe for the shadow, will need to be a little darker. So let's just see it as a full silhouette first. There are loads of beautiful darks, indigos in it. Okay, maybe the highlights will be bold and lighter. Maybe the shadows will have to be darkened as well to have that atmosphere. Good. I haven't got the elegancy of its shape yet, but by the time I'll put my tablecloth right, things will come into place. Okay, let's get a little bit more turquoisey blue back. Ultramarine and phthalo blue with some white. I want to put a bit of that color, just a lighter version, on my tablecloth from the right hand side. Okay, it's a bit wet here, so it might not settle too well yet. Maybe very small hints of that light. Good. Some paler tones coming from the window frames. So as I was working into pale ochres and golden tones, now we're going to work into a little bit more coolness of the whites. A tiny bit more exaggeration of light here. I do want it to stand out. Good. Okay, this light is traveling under the table as well. So let's just bring it in and out. Okay, part coming back to some of the interior. I'm getting close to my plants here, just preparing a bit more background for it. Okay, pictures going to be here. Swapping the brush for a warmer brush and bringing a little bit more surface white more. I'm going chair development. A little bit further back, further forward, sorry. So that old darker leg is going to start somewhere here, so I'm going to use that space. Okay, at least it's my, I think it's very bold light at the moment, but it will settle. Okay. This table is getting wider and wider in its depths, but I'll come back to it. And some shadows here as well. A bit more darker down. Okay, doesn't want to be dark. Let's keep mixing. Okay. A little bit more here. So it just sharpens it up a little in a few places. Might need to put another door frame somewhere here. That's it. So then it's something's going around there, but it's not. I just wanted to have a bit more vibrancy of color around the weight. I didn't want to make it too plain or too specific. Okay, that's better. Mm-hmm. Good, 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 good. Right, plants. Let's look at some plants. Okay, we can see some green there, but is it actually green? I'm going to make it quite a dark green, emerald green mixed with violet. Want to have a bit more of a silhouette. Something here in a vase, but it needs to be a silhouette. If I'll make it too light, I'm just going to lose the vibrancy of that silhouette. And there will be some very bold, maybe blues, or very bold, strong greens as well, to have that impression. So let's start with something in between. And then something lighter green. Okay, maybe a bit more white. Okay, now it is a bit more standing on the table. And again, much more darker tone for green and violet. I think there is a lovely palm tree somewhere here. So I want to just to get a pattern of the leaves. Should be a little bit hard with this chunky big brush. So silhouette of the leaves. If partially it's going to be too dark, I can also help myself by painting highlights behind the leaves. So if I can see my rough color where it's coming from, I can then place highlights to support it. Okay, so there's another lighter tree branch sticking out somewhere here. Which is quite good. The little barrier here, again, it gives me almost like a metal, lovely pattern work. So it's has kind of connection with the branches of the branches of my palm trees. Okay, so that's somewhere there. The panel might be a bit more here. And the door frame a bit more sharper. And that's shadow, so maybe the light's going to be again behind it. So I just keep adjusting and playing with it. There might be still the loads of light coming one way and the other way. Beautiful labyrinths of playful light, really enjoyable to explore. So I'm not looking for perfection, I'm looking for excitement. Right, let's do a little bit of dotting light between my plants and maybe stop here for today. So there will be light coming from behind. Let's just dot about. So let's dot about some of those highlights. It's almost like a fish tank vase of light. If I'm dotting about, I can't make all the dots the same size. They need to be varied from lines to big shapes to little ones. And that's why I've done them plants first. Well, I've done the overall light first, but now I've done the silhouettes of plants and then finding little gaps between will help me with the silhouette even better. There might be some more cooler lights there as well. For now, I'm sticking to some of the warmer ones. Coming back to my lamps, making them a bit more round. Okay, just squashed that lamp here. Okay, I can come back with them. I think some of the warmer, darker lines will be even better. I thought maybe the darker one, the cooler ones will be working, but we'll see how the purpley tones will come in. This might be good. And again, slowly going into the lights on the figure without too much of the details, just little highlights on the shoulders, or little drag of light. The movement is appearing stronger. Okay, maybe too strong. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. The hand arm moving here, so it might have a bit of highlight as well. Okay, so it slowly starts building that atmosphere of evening. At the same time, inside light, buzzing atmosphere with everything. Okay, a bit more lighter tone here. There's a big block of dark. Really exciting development of patterns. Okay, not sure about that. Yeah, it just was a little bit calmer here. So let's just keep that darker tone there for the moment. Maybe the darkness will be actually supported somewhere far back. Okay, my chair is slowly coming back. Let's put some of that pale blue somewhere on my plant here as well. Very Parisian atmosphere. And probably at this stage, I will need to stop looking at the photograph and start uniting some of the parts of the interior or supporting, so things that will stay a bit more together. Okay, that's much better. I've just simplified the shape and it is immediately helping us to see what's behind. That's better. Right, I'm going to stop at this for tonight. There are loads of lovely playful things to keep going, but thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I hope you enjoyed and got inspired by some complex work which could be simplified and make it doable, make it workable, make it more easier to paint. Thank you, everybody.